how many people don't like it that these people want Formula One. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. The tide is turning here.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Seagull on Speed 2, 5, and a 2, and I want to thank you all for pushing that play button. As you all know by now, I'm a huge fan of the C8 Mid Engine Corvette, and then every time I get some information, I like to bring it your way. So I had the opportunity to sit into a seminar with Taj, Holland, and Kirk, and they talked about a lot of great things with this car. They was actually funny as well in the seminar, and just being around these guys was great. This is a video you definitely want to watch all the way from the beginning to all the way to the end. I am not kidding you. There was tons of questions asked. There was tons of information provided about the C8 Mid Engine Corvette. I was also in this seminar with lots of other people who asked tons of great questions, and myself also asked a question that a lot of you have been wanting to know. So this is a video you want to watch all the way from the beginning to the end, because in the beginning, Taj, Holland, and Kurt is going to share information with you about the C8 Mid Engine Corvette that you might not have ever known. And at the end will be questions that was asked to the engineering team about the C8 Mid Engine Corvette and some issues that people had on their C7s that they corrected with the C8. So with that being said, you don't want to miss anything in this video. You definitely want to watch it all the way through. Definitely don't forget to smash the subscribe button, and I'm definitely thankful for you all pushing that play button today. And without further ado, I want to get into the video. Please share this video to other Corvette owners so they can actually learn this information and provide this information elsewhere as well. And also, before I go, I want to thank you all from the Mid Engine Corvette forum to the Corvette forum and all my followers that are currently on the channel and all the new ones that have came to the channel for supporting me for this far. And I want to appreciate each and every one of you guys who take the time to go to those forums and share the content, watch the videos, and you'll all greatly appreciate it.
And we could have done just a squared off opening, and they're saying, well, why do you have to go way up into the door like this? And there's a lot going on. So you have to have an opening. You think about driving in the rain. So you might not think about that, but you're driving in the rain, and the engine is actually breathing through the top part of this. And so there's a vacuum. The engine is sucking in air. And so imagine if we laid it back this way. When it's raining, the water's coming in and the engine's just breathing that in. So having the shape leaning forward like that creates an umbrella, almost like an awning over that. So the water running down the side of the car actually sheds off. So having it leaning this way is very important for getting that water out of the way of the breathing engine. Another thing we have to think about is stone throw. So sticky front tires, they toss, they pick stuff up off the road and they throw it up in the air, it bounces around all over the place. You don't want a blunt forward-facing element right there. Some of you guys know this from the brake cooling duct that we have in today's car. That can get hammered by little pebbles and grit and stuff over time. So having this facing down makes it a glancing blow for any stones coming. And there's actually a little rocker extension here. People probably think, oh, that's just for cool design. It's a little bit of an aero rocker extension, but the biggest thing it does is keep stones under the car. They keep stones from bouncing up and getting into this area. So including the door handle in this and hiding that and keeping it clean and giving you a surface where you can open the door without touching the paint. We know you guys, wash your car. You don't want to touch the body color paint, so having a little accent color on there and hiding the handle underneath so you don't have to touch it all. So all of that thinking goes into that simple design element on the side of the car. So that gives you a sense of how we all work together to create a car that both looks good and works good.
The gang that showed up, just to give you a little bit of Corvette history here, we had Kip Wasenko, who designed the two-rotor Corvette. We had Randy Mateen, who's working on C3 Corvettes. We had Jerry Palmer there, which I think he started on the 67, 68, and then John Cufero, and picked up all that span between Jerry Palmer to Tom Peters, and Tom had the last 20 years. So it was great to see all those guys. A lot of history just right there in those individuals. You can see some of the guys here in that, the lower slides kind of were out there with John, and of course he's given us the look because we have the car sitting about 50 mils too high. And that, it's a steel buck with a foam covered wood box on it, and they have electric motors in it, but sometimes they don't always function for us in the colder months and that. So that's why we're all kind of quiet right here, because we're getting a lesson. So, but upper slide you'll see Taj Company, and we have a lot of dialogue with, as you can appreciate, senior leadership is involved with this car, and definitely shares his thoughts with us, and that is a lot of open communication and with them. And these are some of the pictures of, we worked through the clay, and I think I showed you some of the developmental designs, but this is really where we started to hone in on what you're seeing as the new Stingray. And this shot we took, this really told us how much the proportion can really leverage the new look of a car. And this is the biggest step we've ever taken with Corvette as far as a proportional change. And you can see it's very impactful here. Comparing it to a Z06, you see a Z06 on the street today, and it's a rock star to see or drive. But you can see this new car just eclipses it, and it looks to be like 20 years newer.
Hey Kurt, can I chime in on that slide just a little bit? People are probably wondering what this bus is doing back here. Here's a place where we're showing advanced product, and why is it something that looks like an old motorhome kind of lurking in the background? That's actually a converted viewing vehicle. So we do this work in Michigan, and sometimes it's 20 below, and sometimes it's snowing, and here you want to look at a car outside. So how do you do that in the winter? How do you get a group of, a bunch of softies out there wanting to look at the car? So they actually converted one. They put glass panels. You can't really see it very here, but it's the whole side of the vehicle is glass. And so you can park the cars outside, and everybody can sit warm and cozy in that thing. They drive it around, so you can see from all different angles. So life is different in design.
Freeze. After watching this clip over and over again, I didn't see this in a seminar, but look at the wheels that's on this current C8. These wheels look pretty sick, and I actually don't see these wheels as options for the current base C8. So these could be something they're making right now or could come out in the future.
Add to that, we're in the bus with senior leadership, and of course, we're out there in adverse weather and we're making changes. So as you can appreciate, usually the youngest designer that's on the bus, it's his or her job to run out there, take a new line, pin a mock-up, and then run back in. So there's a little seniority involved. A lot of good dialogue, talking with the folks yesterday about aerodynamics on the new Stingray. We started off in a scale model. That's really good for us because, as you can appreciate, we can make fast changes on this model. In just hand modeling, typically we would do in an 8-hour shift, we'd probably get 20 to 24 changes in just hand modeling the proportion there. So it's quick. It's still, I have people asking about digital tools. Well, the hands-on is still, with our sculpting capability and the level of expertise they have, we can still move very fast with clay. Now,
and Kurt, I just wanted to add that scale model, that 40% is here at the museum. We just brought it here for you guys to see.
Awesome.
Thanks, Harlan. When we aren't in scale, we're doing CFD, computational flow dynamics. This is basically computer simulations, and we're able to pick the strands. You see those colored lines up there? Well, the computer will run, probably 1,000 lines over the car, but we're more interested in certain areas for study. So that's why you'll see like this one's highlighted. We spent a lot of time in that front corner. It has to gather up air, but it also has to keep the air attached to go down the body side, and then it's got to get diverted into the rear compartment of it. So a lot of that right back here.
Performance traction management. Oh, PTM.
Is the V4Z part of that V4?
If you get Z51, you get performance traction management. Period. That's like it is today. It's not.
Magnetic ride.
Harlan should answer this one.
The magnetic ride and the performance traction management, which we call FE4, that comes together. So you have to get both together.
So, we should.
Okay. I'm for it. Okay. Right.
Other questions? right here.
The competition seat, does it have a provision for a submarine strap for a 5-point harness? And is there rear brake cooling?
There is rear brake cooling. We had this question yesterday about track belts. We don't put provisions in that are explicitly designed for track work. Our lawyers simply won't let us do that. We don't know what the aftermarket content's going to be. We can't stand behind what they're going to do. We can't take that liability. So we try to do the best we can to give them the best chance of providing really good accommodations for hardcore track work. But the answer is no, other than the sport seat has a notch in it, the way it's designed. If you look at it out there, there's a path to get the belt a good place to come up into your lap. Next, Durham.
So for the fans of Corvette racing here, for Le Mans next year, will we see this mid-engine car for Le Mans, and will we see it in the accelerator yellow?
We'll be making an announcement shortly. All I can say. Back here. Sure. We're one of the first users of a new electrical architecture that will be used across General Motors products. It is quite a bit faster, so speed of messaging much faster. The big part of it is cybersecurity, so every message is encoded, even though there's not been any high-profile hacks of publicly, vehicles. It's going to happen someday, and so the fact that cars are so connected, either through your cell phone or OnStar for us, we have to take precautions to make sure nobody can come in and tamper with your car. So that cybersecurity is a big part of it. And then we're also adding over-the-air, so we can download new calibrations into the car, improvements in the car over the air, which I think will be very helpful. Every time we introduce some new features, customers are always saying, well, can I get that in my current car? Usually the answer is no. With over-the-air updating, there'll be some stuff that we can actually make backwards compatible and help cars stay updated. We got we got more questions for you.
Noise level, C7 versus C8 inside.
So that's going to be one of the things that's going to be most surprising to people. When you get in this car, you'll know in 100 yards, it's a different kind of car. Having the rear tires so much farther rearward, and because sound pressure level, what you hear drops by the square of the distance, those big speakers, the big wide rear tires, are quite a bit farther away, so you actually start with less tire noise. And the fact that we wanted to isolate the passenger compartment from the accessory drive, which is only about 12 inches from you, so you've got the drive belt, the tensioners, the generator, the compressor, all of those are sitting right over your shoulder. And a lot of mid-engine cars traditionally kind of sound trashy, kind of crude, kind of race car-like. And we didn't want that experience. So that's why I was talking before about plumbing the intake noise around the side of the car and up towards the door, because we have a very well insulated bulkhead between the occupant compartment and the engine to take all that high frequency noise out. So this is far and away the quietest Corvette we've ever done. A lot of that road noise is taken right down.
And we've got that question a lot, both. I think there's a preconception about noise and heat. And everybody said it's both quieter and cooler than the previous car, which a lot of people, because we don't have the hot exhaust going through the tunnel anymore and things like that. So even when we were doing the cars, when we first got in the early cars, we were like, these are way too quiet. We got to make the exhaust louder.
So yeah, we've spent a lot of time taking the noise you don't want to hear and getting rid of that, but amping up the noise that you do want to hear. So that's fundamental to this architecture. Yes, right here.
With your stupid driver like you use a totally circular steering wheel, how is it going to be to do the ones that they're more
The corners?
geometries other than your square? Yours we've got the U shape. How does that affect the people that would transfer into that? When I get partway through, it's going to bottom my turn.
I was totally with you. When we first started talking about even the original flat bottom wheel, I was like, wheels are meant to be round. How would you ever make a wheel that wasn't round? And so actually what we did is when we first started talking about this squircle, they call it, kind of a square circle, there was a lot of us that were kind of skeptical that why do you want all those corners on the steering wheel? And so we actually used 3D printing. We printed some steering wheels and put them in a current Corvette, and we lived with them as daily drivers to see what it was like. And there's a little bit of adaptation, a little bit of a learning curve, but it's surprising how quick you get used to it. And those corners almost seem like handles. Like in typical turns, you grab a corner and you know exactly where the wheel is. And it's amazing the number of comfortable hand positions there are. If you're a 3 and 5 person or 3 and 9 person, you have a full rim to grab on. If you're more a 10 and 2 person, you have a full rim to grab on with nothing in your way, so you're not grabbing in a transition where the shape is transitioning. So I was a big skeptic early on, and I became convinced that not only was it just fine, it's going to be great.
And I would say the car in normal driving, the steering is so quick, you can keep your hands at 9 and 3 and anything but an extremely sharp turn, just driving the car around. You know, you can do your F1 rotation. It's really actually a lot of fun.
Yes, back there.
Yes, the VENT and cracked wheels. Have you considered this in the C8? I mean, has there been some thought to, as a daily driver, this is a concern with me.
Yes, so you're talking about, the question was for people listening outside, so have we tried to do something to improve the robustness of the wheels, the road wheels? We're talking about steering wheels, now we're talking about road wheels. And the answer is yes, even though we've historically designed wheels the same way to the same loads, we have seen an increase in the number of people bringing their cars in with a bent or a cracked wheel. And so yes, we increased the load. We came up with new testing actually. And if you look at the inside rim, there's actually a little more meat, so it's directionally incorrect for mass, unsprung weight, but it does make the wheel tougher and more robust. So, yes, right here. Question is, have we run the car at the Nürburgring? Yes, we have several times. We do development testing there on all our programs. Everybody's interested in the fast lap. That's the last thing we do. It's never been something we prioritize. They're also making it difficult to run fast laps. So we were there actually just this July to do our final tweaking and tuning. Actually, that's the top speed video that we just showed you while we were in Germany. We did that too. So we did get some good data. We were pretty happy with the car handles there, and we may publish all that sometime. Yes.
So on my YouTube channel, I get the question, will chrome wheels come back?
Question is, will chrome wheels come back? Well, I'll never say never, but we do not have any plans right now to bring chrome wheels to come. How many people want chrome wheels? Let's see. How many people don't like it that these people want chrome wheels? Uh-oh. The tide is turning here.
I would say take a look at the car we have on display, the ceramic car, which has the ultra bright, polished, machined aluminum, and that's, I don't know if the request is specifically for chrome, but if the request is for a bright wheel, that's our brightest wheel. I think a lot of people like bright wheels, but we thought this is a more honest finish than the chrome plate things.
And the whole industry, honestly, is moving away from chrome, just from an environmental impact and other reasons. So we are too. Two more questions. Yes, right here.
Will 0 to 60 ever be released for the stock car?
Absolutely.
All the magazines.
Question is, will the 0 to 60 be released for the stock cars? When we release our times, that's why we said 0 to 60 under 3. We want to test a bunch of different production spec cars before we make a claim. But we're doing both FE3 and FE1, and we'll publish those numbers probably in the not too distant future. I think the thing people are going to be most surprised about is how close they are.
Okay.
People are going to think, oh, they're bragging about C51, that's the fast one, they're going to be a lot slower. You'd be surprised how close they are. And last question, all the way back in the corner. So he's talking about Ackerman correction angle, so that's chassis calibration. Most of you know it as the chatter that you get when you're, especially at lower temperatures, when the tires have stick-slip properties. They're very sensitive to that, especially on C51 and some of our up-level models. You feel that kind of chatter, the tires stick and slip as you go around a tight corner. That is gone. Okay, I think that's it. I'm sorry we have to cut it off. Thank you very much for coming. And enjoy the rest of your time.